Up until now, we've done some basic editing where we've marked in points in our timeline or in points in our source panel and just slapped clips into the timeline. Now we're going to learn how to use a little more finesse to really put the clip in the location and for the duration that you want. And we're going to do something called a three-point edit. An example of a three-point edit would be I choose the in and out point in my source, and then I choose the in point in my destination, and it will use the length of this clip and throw it in the timeline. So if I went ahead and I simply did an overwrite edit, and let me go ahead and target my video 2 and target audio 2, and do the overwrite edit, I have the 3 points chosen, and as you can see, the clip that it put into the timeline is 6 seconds long and runs over my other clip. So it's not as precise as I want. I could trim it back, but there's better ways to do this. Let me hit undo, Command-Z on a Mac and Control-Z on Windows, and instead of marking an in and out point in my source, the 3 points I'm going to choose will be an in my source and an in point and an out point in my timeline. So I'm going to go ahead and mark in, and I'm going to mark out. So I can see the duration here is about 5 seconds. That's my whole. And then if I go over here, I have an in and an out point at 6 seconds. So let me remove the out point, and I'm simply going to right-click, and I'm going to clear the out. And now Premiere Pro will use 5 seconds in one frame and only put that much of the clip into my timeline when I hit the overwrite button. As you see, it's a perfect fit. So the basic concept behind a three-point edit is you have 4 points to choose from, you pick 3. 2 in points and 1 out point, or 2 out points and 1 in point. This is a case where I might want to back time a clip. Let me go ahead and hit undo again, and now I'll mark an in and an out in my destination. I'll erase the in point in my source and back time from where I want the clip to finish and mark an out point. Once again, it's only going to be 5 seconds long, because that's based upon the timeline, and when I make this edit, and this time I'll do it by pressing the period key, it will back time the clip to be exactly 5 seconds long. Now, as you can see, the three-point edit technique is very useful when you want to do precision editing. But what about if you put 4 points in? Let's take a look at what would happen. I'm going to go ahead and delete this clip from my timeline by simply selecting it and pressing the delete key. I'm going to mark an in and an out point that's very short, and if I want to make sure it's precisely on this edit point, I could use the up and down arrows. It jumps me between edit points. I'll mark out. So I have a 2-second space, and I'm going to put in a huge clip. I'm going to hit I at the beginning, and we have a 4-second clip and a 2-second hole. What's going to happen when we try to perform this edit? Well, I'm going to simply click on overwrite. I could hit the period key, but this is a little more visual for training, and I get a dialog box. And it gives me a choice of what point I might want to throw away. Do I want to ignore the in or the out point of my source clip, or do I want to ignore the in or the out point in my destination? And by the way, Premiere Pro remembers the last choice you made. So if you've seen this box before and clicked on a different option, your window may look a little bit different than mine. The 5th option, which is at the top of this window, is change the clip speed or fit to fill. So now it will either speed up or slow down the source clip to fit in that space. If I hit OK now, we're going to be putting a 4-second clip in a 2-second hole, and that's going to create a faster clip. Let's take a look at how quickly I can cut a pizza. I bet I could get a job at any pizza joint. One last point to consider. Let me press undo and show you one more way that Premiere Pro will think. We've been using buttons or keyboard shortcuts to bring our video in, but what happens if I try to drag a 4-second clip into my timeline, which has a 2-second in and out point? Well, it completely ignores the in and out points in your timeline. The way Premiere Pro thinks is, if you're going to drag a clip to the timeline, I'm going to put it wherever you drop it. So if I drop it later, it will ignore both the in and the out point, or I can have it snap and decide when I drag and drop where the clip is going to go. I can't do a 4-point edit with drag and drop from the source to the timeline onto an empty track. As you can see, 3-point editing is a very powerful tool to use when you want to make sure that everything goes precisely where it needs to be.